Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Weller and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Now the topic for today is very specific. We're talking about what character, backstory or background do you need? What do you absolutely need to have developed for the Dungeon Master and for yourself? I'm going to be talking about this at the perspective of what the Dungeon Master will expect from you as a player, rather than talking about it from the importance of what you think as a player is important. I'm going to talk about what the Dungeon Master thinks important. Certainly this is my own perspective. I'm going to say it right now. When it comes to a background and background stories or anything like that, I really think that a novel is not a helpful tool. It's something that as a Dungeon Master I do not have time to read. A lot of Dungeon Masters really want something that's short and to the point. And actually bullet points, I know people frown on bullet points, but there's nothing wrong with bullet points. I really want just the key information that'll get me the stuff I need. Now when it comes to backgrounds, everybody has a different view about the key elements. There's actually only one and really important element or key required for a backstory on a character, and I'm going to leave that to the last topic. I'm going to talk about everything else leading up to that. So the main questions you need to ask are these. Your first question with regard to your backstory is, where did you come from? Where were you born? Or were you created? What race are you? Were you brought up by a family, or were you on your own? Is your family, do you have brothers and sisters? Are they alive or dead? Often it's the case that players will decide that their family are all dead and perished, and it's one of those sort of things. Or were you brought up by a beholder by some strange means? Who knows? Okay, the next question, number 2, is what did your character do in the past? What sort of job did they have? Did they have a career? This is where you start using your backgrounds, the actual mechanical elements that Dungeons and Dragons 5e has. What sort of training did you have? What sort of school did you go to? Did you suffer some sort of trauma? Are you the sort of character who's running the sort of Conan the Barbarian on the wheel of pain as you move a grinding wheel? Or are you the sort of character who spent most of their life in a privileged location with a lot of wealth, sort of spending your time just relaxing, recreational, feeding yourself, smoking, that sort of thing? Is that the kind of backstory you have? Is that your past? So that's number 3. Now number 2. Number 3 is your characters. How did your character learn their adventuring trade or skills? How did they develop their training to get to where they are? Whatever they did in the past, they must have had to shift what they were doing. So they've had to have some sort of career development or a career shift in their life. Something happened that occurred. So why are they picking up the class or background that they have? But more about the class. This is really, we're starting to narrow in on the actual mechanics of your character now. So class is important. Who trained you? Who trained your character? What sort of training did you have? Are you the sort of character, just like Doctor Strange, who wound up going into Tibet and wound up in the mountains, training with some monks, and find themselves with a whole lot of sorcerers and doing all sorts of bizarre things with magic and rings? Is that the sort of character you have? Okay, that's number 3. Now, number 4 is really important. I've talked about links before. Your character link with the members of the party. That is actually fairly important. Why do you trust these members? Why do they trust you? It's not just about your trust, it needs to be about their trust. If you have no link and connection, and the only link and connection you have with the other characters in your party is, we met in a tavern and we're doing it for gold, it's a very weak link. And that's actually a very important aspect to the game, to stop it deteriorating into a mess. I know a lot of Dungeon Masters find this frustrating when a player brings a character and it's a lone wolf character and it doesn't get along with anybody in the group. You can't do that. You need to have some people that you actually get along with. You don't have to get along with everybody, but you have to get along with the most of the group most of the time. Okay, so we've done all 4. The last one, number 5, is the one that I think is by far the most important, and I'm going to select the one image that I think sums it up the best, and that is the Wizard of Oz. What I'm talking about here is what your character is motivated by. Why are they pursuing the adventuring hook or adventure hook that your dungeon master should have given you? If you are a dungeon master, it's really important that you actually make sure that you give them enough information to be able to tie their character into the motivations of the adventure rather than not be able to tie it in. So do that ahead of time. It's a really easy, simple process. Yes, it requires metagaming in some cases, but who cares? As long as it works. The most important factor for the dungeon master and for you is making sure that the motivation you have for your character is in line with the outcome or goals of the dungeon master's adventure. Now this might involve why the character is engaging in such risky adventuring activities or a career. It's certainly going to be revolving around the goals or motivations, and those motivations, as I said, your character's motivations need to be in line with the adventure. Now, the example of the Wizard of Oz, all of these characters are journeying to the Emerald City, and they're going to go see the Wizard of Oz. And the reasons, each one of them have a different reason and motivation or goal, but they're all heading to the same location. So our Dorothy just wants to go home, the Scarecrow just wants a brain, the Tin Man just wants a heart, and the Cowardly Lion just wants to be brave. Those are all different reasons for going to the same place or getting to the same goal, but they still have exactly the same goal ultimately. These are the most important elements of a backstory. Nothing else is really, all the rest is just like icing on the cake, but those are the things the Dungeon Master absolutely needs to have. Now, I will say right now that this is just my advice and my opinion, but I feel like these are the things that a lot of people seem to forget about. So I have hundreds of videos for players and dungeon masters providing advice on how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and you're welcome to go and check those out. If you want to support the channel so I keep doing videos like this, I have a Patreon page where you can support me and get access to stuff that other people don't get access to. I also have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon down in the description. You'll find I also have a merchandise shelf underneath the video, and make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.